The crystalline amphitheater of the Galactic Council stretched endlessly upward, its translucent walls reflecting the bioluminescent forms of thousands of alien delegates. At the center of the vast chamber, two humans stood on a platform barely large enough for their feet, a deliberate insult that had not gone unnoticed. Barris adjusted his formal diplomatic jacket, feeling the weight of humanity's future pressing down on his shoulders. Beside him, Melissa clutched a datapad containing their species' desperate plea for aid. Around them, the cacophony of alien languages created a symphony of contempt. Silence. The voice of Counselor Vexthor boomed through bioacoustic amplifiers. The massive cephalopod's tentacles writhed with amusement as his words translated into Earth Standard. The primitives from the Sol system request an audience. How quaint. Ripples of what could only be described as laughter echoed through the chamber. The Zephyrian delegates clicked their mandibles in derision, while the gaseous nebulae beings pulsed with colors that Barris had learned meant mockery during his brief cultural orientation. Melissa stepped forward, her voice steady despite the hostile atmosphere. Honored Council, Earth faces extinction from the Void Swarm. Our preliminary calculations show they will consume our solar system within 18 standard months. We request? Counselor Thaleen of the Silicon Collective interrupted, her geometric form shifting with what appeared to be disdain. Your species has existed for mere millennia. You've barely achieved faster-than-light travel. What could you possibly offer in exchange for our intervention? Barris felt his jaw clench. 3 years of diplomatic training hadn't prepared him for this level of casual dismissal. We offer our loyalty, our resources, your resources? Vexthor's laughter was a wet bubbling sound that made Barris's skin crawl. Your entire planet's mineral wealth wouldn't power one of our dreadnoughts for a single day. Your technology is so primitive that our maintenance drones are more advanced than your finest warships. The chamber erupted in what Barris could only assume was alien applause. He watched Melissa's knuckles turn white as she gripped the datapad tighter. Perhaps, came a silky voice from the shadows, the humans could provide entertainment value. I hear they're quite emotional when facing extinction. This suggestion was met with even more approval. Barris felt something cold settle in his stomach. Not fear, but a familiar sensation he recognized from his days in Earth's military. It was the moment just before everything changed. Melissa raised her voice above the din. You mock us for being young, for being primitive. You laugh at our desperation. Her voice carried clearly through the chamber's acoustics. But tell me, Honored Council, when was the last time any of your species faced extinction and survived? The laughter died abruptly. Because we have, Barris continued, stepping beside her. Not once, but dozens of times. Ice ages that should have wiped out our ancestors. Super-volcanic eruptions that blocked out our sun for years. Asteroid impacts that destroyed entire continents. Plagues that killed 90% of our population. And each time, Melissa's voice grew stronger. We didn't just survive. We adapted. We grew stronger. We learned. Counselor Vexthor's tentacles stilled. Irrelevant. The Void Swarm has consumed 14 star systems in this sector alone. They are inevitable. Inevitable. Barris tasted the word. We've heard that before. Hitler thought the Third Reich was inevitable. The Black Death was inevitable. Nuclear winter was inevitable. He looked up at the sea of alien faces staring down at them. We're still here. Your bravado is admirable but pointless, Thaleen stated. The swarm cannot be reasoned with, cannot be deterred. They consume everything. Melissa smiled, a cold, calculating expression that seemed to lower the temperature in the chamber. You're right. They can't be reasoned with, but they can be stopped. She held up her datapad. We've been studying the swarm for 3 years. Every attack pattern, every feeding behavior, every biological marker we could analyze. And? Vexthor's voice held the first note of genuine curiosity. They're not unstoppable, Barris said. They're just hungry. And we know something about hunger. He paused, letting his words sink in. We know how to turn a predator's greatest strength into its greatest weakness. The chamber had grown completely silent. Melissa activated her datapad, and holographic displays filled the air around them. The swarm feeds on stellar energy and planetary mass simultaneously. But what if we gave them something that looked like a perfect feeding ground, something irresistible, but was actually a trap? The displays showed complex calculations, stellar engineering schematics, and tactical formations that made several delegates lean forward despite themselves. "You're proposing to weaponize a star," Counselor Yethna of the Quantum Assembly observed, her voice filled with something that might have been respect. "We're proposing to save the galaxy," Barris replied. "But we need the Council's industrial capacity, your manufacturing capabilities, and your fleets to execute the plan." "And if it fails?" Vexthor asked. Melissa and Barris exchanged glances. It was Melissa who answered, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's history. "Then we fail fighting, but Counselor, we've never been very good at failing quietly." For long moments, the only sound in the chamber was the hum of the translation matrix. Then slowly, Counselor Vexthor began to speak. "The Terran delegation will be provided with full Council resources for their operation." His tentacles rippled with what Barris was learning to recognize as approval. "It seems we have underestimated the survival instincts of a species that refuses to accept extinction." As the Council voted to support humanity's desperate gambit, Melissa whispered to Barris, "Think it will work?" Barris watched the aliens who had mocked them now scrambling to pledge their support. "It has to," he replied. "We're humans. We don't know how to give up." The Void Swarm was coming, but for the first time in 3 years, humanity wasn't facing it alone. Sometimes, Barris reflected, being underestimated was the greatest weapon of all.